Godwyn the Golden was the first of the demigods to be touched by the cold embrace of death. But was he truly the poster child of the Golden Order, or something altogether different? Before we venture into the lands between, here's a quick shout out to Aoa.com, our sponsor. If you want runes, items, armor, and weapons right now, you can get it from these worthy tarnished, and by using the code in the description, you can get 3% off, courtesy of the Inhuman one. The Night of the Black Knives marked the beginning of the end for the Golden Order. Sadly, it also marked the day Queen Marika's firstborn would be mercilessly assassinated at the hands of several Numen warriors. And it is here that we see the first inkling that perhaps Godwyn the Golden was not quite what he was portrayed to be, but more on this later. If we take a moment to examine Queen Marika's family Erd tree, we learn that she had 3 children with Godfrey, the alleged first Elden Lord. Their first child was Godwyn the Golden. Sadly, his younger twin brothers, Morgott and Mohg, were afflicted by the Omen curse and were banished from the kingdom. Their primordial appearance, characterized by their gray skin and writhing horns, was a foreboding sign of ill times to come. But was their elder brother truly the perfect embodiment of the Golden Order? I've always found it incredibly bizarre that the skin on Godwyn's back was covered in strange markings. Initially, I thought this was simply a side effect of the power of the Black Knives imbued with the rune of destined death. But after I experienced the bitter taste of death firsthand, I realized the errors of my assumption. After progressing through Fia's questline, we learn the mystery of the curse mark of death. The item description reads, "Curse mark carved into the discarded flesh of Ranni the Witch, also known as the half-wheel wound of the centipede. This curse mark was carved at the moment of death of the first demigod, and should have taken the shape of a circle. However, 2 demigods perished at the same time, breaking the curse mark into 2 half-wheels. Ranni was the first of the demigods whose flesh perished, while the Prince of Death perished in soul alone." But who was this Prince of Death? The Prince of Death pustule reveals that it was a fetid pustule taken from facial flesh. It is said that this pustule came from the visage of the Prince of Death, he who used to be called Godwyn. As first dead of the demigods, it's said he's buried deep under the capital at the Erd tree's roots. Based on the item description, it's clear that Godwyn and the Prince of Death are one and the same. It wasn't until I ventured into the darkest depths of Stormveil Castle when I found the missing piece of the puzzle. Sorcerer Roger's discovery of the disfigured corpse and monstrous visage revealed what lay beneath the golden hair and fair skin that once belonged to Godwyn himself. The pustule located just inches away from the gigantic face confirmed his identity, and most importantly, the location of his grave. The brilliant golden light of the Erd tree blinded the people from the dark truths that lay deep below. As the first dead, Godwyn was given an honorary burial so that his soul could return to the Erd tree. It was customary to bury dead nobles at the roots of the Erd tree to quite literally return the dearly departed to the cycle of life and death. However, the true purpose was not to honor the dead, but to simply provide nutrients to the life-sapping plant they so idolized. Unfortunately for both the Erd tree and Godwyn, his burial would prove to be a bit more complex in nature. You see, when Godwyn was assassinated, it was his soul that perished, not his body. As such, this unnatural occurrence resulted in a burial with devastating results. As the insatiable Erd tree attempted to feed on Godwyn's soul, the inexplicable happened. The Prince of Death was born. Witnessing the entirety of Godwyn's twisted form is truly a sight to behold. Fitted with fish-like scales and large, bulging eyes, very little remains of his long-lost humanity. Upon closer inspection, it seems as if Godwyn is gnawing at the roots of the Erd tree, as if trying to return the favor. If we take a moment to consider this scene, the revelations are shocking. The age of the Erd tree was quite literally uprooted by Godwyn the Golden and was afflicted with deathblight from his infectious bite. This newly inherited imperfection would spread like a wildfire through the lands between, and marked the end of the Erd tree's alleged immortality and perfection. In a desperate attempt at self-preservation, the Erd tree began to sprout seeds, a phenomenon once thought to be impossible. It eagerly sought out new land to fertilize, free of death's bitter touch. But the Prince of Death's new gift proved to be inescapable. While several minor Erd trees survived, many did not. As Godwyn's influence spread, so too did his power. Based on the incomplete form we see in the shadows of Stormveil Castle, it seems he gained the ability to duplicate himself, as evidenced by the image of the Prince of Death's cyst, which would explain the two forms we find in the lands between. Ironically, it seems that death was just the beginning for Godwyn the Golden, whose short-lived existence in the realm of the living was just a brief stepping stone in his journey to establishing a new order in his image, as the Prince of Death, first dead of the demigods. For it was his demise that ultimately resulted in the fall of the Erd Tree. Perhaps we should take a moment of silence to honor the dead. The Golden Epitaph flavor text seems quite fitting indeed. "O brother, Lord brother, please, die a true death." And that's all for this video. Until next time, it's the Inhuman One signing out.